Good evening. My name is Van Ash, and today I would like to touch base on a topic that was very dear to me because I was affected by it as well, and that is gentrification. But in order to talk about gentrification, we got to get to the root, the definition, the root of it, the cause and effect, and how it has changed the DC area to this day. Some of the things that I'm going to touch base on within my presentation would be, we'll start with what is gentrification, who is affected, incidents that have taken place that represent gentrification and the results of it, and the long-term effect on families. With that being said, what is gentrification? Gentrification is housing, economic, and health issues that affects the community's history and the culture, and it reduces social capital. What does all that mean? It actually changes the characteristics of a neighborhood. When did this start? Most importantly, when did this start? Well, it took place in the 1950s. Let it be known that African Americans migrated from Virginia over to Georgetown, where they flourished in an industrial setting. What changed that was the 1950 Old Georgetown Act, basically changing the economical development of the area, making it hard for African Americans to afford to stay there. As a result, families were uprooted. African American families, low income housing, they were shifted to bad neighborhoods in which crime flourished, poverty. By the 1980s, the crack epidemic hit, and as a result of that, families were ripped apart. Mass incarceration, death. People were strung out on drugs. So, just to bring it full circle, that was the 1980s. Now, in the current time, here's an example of gentrification and the effect that it has on the community. Just 3 years ago, Howard University students forwarded a complaint because some of the Caucasian individuals that had migrated to DC due to gentrification and them being able to afford high-income housing was using the campus as a toilet bowl for their pets. Funny, but not funny. That's just one example of gentrification, because back in the 80s that would have never happened. Another example is the Metro PCS on 14th Street, which was a haven for go-go, in which they used to play music, people used to enjoy, have fun, mainly African Americans, and a petition was put forward to stop that from happening. Luckily, a gentleman by the name of Tony Lewis Jr., an activist who fought to keep that part of the culture in the city, was able to win, and now Metro PS is still the mecca of go-go there. In conclusion, gentrification is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing as well. But it heavily affects African Americans, and it will continue to affect African Americans if we don't do subsidized housing in which everyone can afford. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.